Hi everybody, and welcome to Midday Prayer on Thursday. I've decided today that I'd like to talk about prayer. Act for Midday Prayer. I was reading this morning this wonderful book by James Finley, which he writes about Thomas Merton, and it's called Merton's Place of Nowhere. And he writes a lot about prayer, and especially contemplative prayer. So what I want to do is I want to read you a short paragraph and then just talk about it a little bit, and then I'll read it again before I end off. So James Finley, I think I have mentioned before, was an oblate of Thomas Merton. He studied under Thomas Merton in the, what do you call them? Sorry, I seem to have disappeared there for a minute. He studied under Thomas Merton in the monastery in Gethsemane in America, and he's truly a wonderful writer. I can't say enough about how wonderful he is. So I'm reading here from right in the beginning of the book. There is only one life, and that is God's life, which he gives to us from moment to moment, drawing us to himself with every holy breath we take. The purpose of our prayer is to help us find God, that we might consciously and gratefully live this life, and through our presence invite others to live it as well. I need to read it again. There is only one life, and that is God's life, which he gives to us from moment to moment, drawing us to himself with every holy breath we take. The purpose of our prayer is to help us find God, that we might consciously and gratefully live this life, and through our presence invite others to live it with us. So, an interesting way to look at prayer. When I first read the first line, there is only one life, and that is God's life. I sort of thought, I was a bit taken aback, how does that work? But I think what James is trying to convey to us is the fact that God lives in us. So, and the fact that we are born in God's image, and he fills us. He fills us with his power and his light. And in our lives, we come in and out of that space where we are filled, and then we go into little patches of darkness, maybe big patches of darkness, where we don't feel so full. But God, and the metaphor that James and Merton use is the waterfall, the water wheel, where the buckets go down and they fill the bucket underneath, and then they go down and that tips out and fills another bucket, so the bucket's empty. So there's this constant process of being empty and being filled all the time. It's God working in us, and it's us really being filled with God, spending time with God, and then maybe walking away or turning away for a little while, and then we go back and we get filled again. But what James is trying to emphasize here is that God lives in us moment by moment. So he's emphasizing this idea of presence. So we should live our lives in God moment by moment. And that is how he saves us from anxiety and worry. If we live in the moment, we have no need. If we live in the moment in God, we have no need for anxiety. Because if we live in the past and we become anxious and worry and feel guilty or something, or angry about something that happened in the past, something we can't change, then we are not in Christ. If we worry about the future, what is going to happen to me, then we are not hearing God's promise to us that He will protect us. He will carry us under eagle's wings, and He will never leave us. So, again, we are not living in God. So God wants us to live in Him moment by moment, to be present. As I'm sitting here, to be aware of the beautiful nature around me, of the song of the birds, the butterflies, people moving about in the roads, doing life, sense of peace there. The beautiful church right here next to me, where we go and we fellowship and worship with God. So He wants us to be aware in this moment. And you know what? This particularly came to me during that insurrection that we had recently, that rioting. And you know, I was quite frightened. I must be honest. I probably wasn't being in the moment. I was asking the question, what is going to happen here? And I realized then that, you know, God's got me. He's got the whole world in His hands, to quote a song. And He's got me and you in His hands. And so I needed to exercise my faith and say to myself, right now, in this moment, everything's okay. Here I am sitting in the lounge, attempting to read a book and do some work. In this moment, I feel God's presence, and I know I'm okay. And as I go from moment to moment, He will be with me, and He will protect me. So, James says that the purpose of our prayers are to find God in our lives. And many of us, and I certainly was like this for many, many, many years in my spiritual walk. The prayer was for petition, for intercession, and perhaps for asking for forgiveness. But it was always, you know, pestering God for, please make this happen, please make that happen, please help this one, please help that one. But you know, in James, in the writings of the mystics, contemplative prayer is really very important, and it's something that I have learned to absolutely love and find it difficult to be without. And all James is saying is that take time to sit in the silence. Leave your words behind. Because this time it's not about you. It's not about what you need God to do for you. And your words are insufficient. All we need to do is sit with focused intention and enjoy God's presence. Really experience God's presence. And you may say, you know, that must be really difficult. Well, you know what? The whole principle is that it's just simple and it's your process. So there's no being good or bad. It's yours. It's yours, and it's your relationship with God. So you just close your eyes and you try as hard as you can just to focus on God. And when you get distracted, you just bring yourself back. So that is what James is saying here, is that we can use prayer to walk through our lives with God's protection, with His love, with His mercy, with His faithfulness, and do this through simply finding Him in our prayers. It's really a lovely experience. If people are suspicious of it, worry about it, I'd love you to have a try. And if you're interested, please let me know, because we will run some centering prayer groups starting again in November. So I'm going to read it again. There is only one life, and that is God's life, which He gives to us from moment to moment, drawing us to Himself with every holy breath we take. The purpose of our prayer is to help us find God, that we might consciously and gratefully live this life. And through our presence, we invite others to live it as well. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make His face to shine upon you. May the Lord give you His peace. Amen. Hopefully Mark has a lovely song to put with this for you. Till next week. Bye-bye.